This is the third video from 10.3 through 10.7, 10.2 through 10.7. 17 on 10.4 is 7 square root of 9 minus 7 plus square root of 3. Comes out to 14 plus square root of 3. 18 square root of 16 minus 5 square root of 10 plus 7. Number 18, square root of 16 minus 5 square root of 10 plus 7. Square root of 16 is 4 minus 5 square root of 10 plus 7. So 4 and 7 are alike. 11 minus 5 square root of 10. 19, 2 plus 3 square root of y squared minus 6 square root of y squared plus 5 comes down to 7 minus 3y. I needed to break down that answer there. 20, 3 square root of 7 minus cube root of x plus 4 square root of 7 minus cube root of x. The square root of 7's are alike, so that makes 7 square root of 7. The cube root of x's are alike, make negative 2 cube root of x. 21, 3 times square root of 108 minus 2 square root of 2 square root of 18 minus 3 square root of 48 equals 6 square root of 3 minus 6 square root of 2. 22, negative square root of 75 plus square root of 12 minus 3 square root of 3. Break down to 75, 25 and 3. Break down to 12, 4 and 3. Square root of 3 is already broken down. Nothing else goes into it. So, negative 5 square root of 3, 2 square root of 3, minus 3 square root of 3 gives us negative 6 square root of 3 for number 22. 23, negative 5 cube root of 125 plus cube root of 40 equals negative 23 cube root of 5. 24, negative 2 cube root of 108 and negative cube root of 32. 108, we find the cube root that goes into it, 27 4 times. Find the cube root that goes into 32, 8 and 4. Then it's negative 2 times a 3 times the cube root of 4. And then it's negative 2, because cube root of 8 is 2, cube root of 4. So these two, negative 2 times 3 is negative 6, and negative 2 make negative 8 cube root of 4. Then 25, a cubed, square root of 9ab cubed, minus square root of 25, a to the 7th, b cubed, plus square root of 16, a to the 7th, and b cubed. The 9, the 25, and the 16, you can take the square root of each of those. What you're going to have to work with is breaking down the variables with the exponents, and it comes out to 2a cubed b square root of ab. 26, square root of 4, x to the 7th, y to the 5th is the first part. So I break it down of 4, x to the 6th, x, y to the 4th, and y. Breaking those down, go to here to here. Then the 9x squared, I break down the x cubed, x squared and x. I break down the y to the 5th, y to the 4th, and y. Then the steps come down here. Then the x to the 5th, I break down x to the 4th and x, y squared and y. They break down here, follow through the steps, 8x cubed y square root of xy. This lesson here, this lesson 10.4, takes you some really concentrating on it. Then 10.5, getting rid of the radical in the denominator. Here's 17. 2 square root of 3 over square root of 7 is 2 square root of 21 over 7. 18, negative 5 square root of 2 over square root of 11. We multiply by square root of 11 over square root of 11, equaling there. 19. Square root of 2x over 5y. Both are inside the radical. The answer is square root of 10xy over 5y, not in a radical. 20. Square root of 13a over 2b, all underneath the radical. So that's square root of 13a over square root of 2b. So I multiply square root of 13a over square root of 2b by square root of 2b over square root of 2b, giving me the square root of 26ab over square root of 4b squared. Square root of 4 is 2. Square root of b squared is b. 23. Square root of 3x over 50, all underneath the radical, is square root of 6x over 10. Square root of 11y over 45, all underneath the radical, square root of 11y over square root of 45. Break down the square root of 45. 9 and 5. So you get 3 square root of 5. And so square root of 11y over 3 square root of 5 multiplied by square root of 5 on top and bottom. Square root of 55y on top over 15. Square root of 5 and square root of 5 is 5 times 3, 15. Then the next 6 problems are conjugates. All you have to do is when you're given 2 terms, change the sign in the middle. 2 terms, change the sign in the middle. That is the conjugate. Then 10.6, 7 through 12. Square root of 4x minus 3 minus 5. That equals 7. Remember, check your answers. Square root of x minus 3 minus 1 equals 0. Move the 1 to the other side. Always isolate the radical. Square both sides. Then square root of x minus 3, square root of x minus 3 is x minus 3 equals 1. So x is 4. I checked it. Yes, it works. Number 9, square root of 2x minus 3 minus the 2 equals 1. Answer 6. 10, square root of 3x plus 3 minus 4 equals 8. Add the 4 to both sides. Then square both sides. And so square root of 3x plus 3 and square root of 3x plus 3 is 3x plus 3 equals 144. Divide by the 3, you get 47 when you take it into 141. Check your answer. Then the last 2 are cube roots. So you cube the equation. Cube root of 6x equals negative 2. Answer, negative 9 halves. 12, cube root of 4x equals negative 8. Cube both sides. Cube root of 4x, cube root of 4x, cube root of 4x gives you 4x. Negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, negative 8. So negative 2 is your answer. Check it. It checks. The final lesson from this assignment is on complex numbers. They are numbers like a plus bi on the vocabulary. Shows how we write complex numbers. The I is the interesting part. A plus bi is a complex number. The I on it is the imaginary unit. And here's where it comes from. I is the square root of negative 1. I squared means we took the square root of negative 1 times square root of negative 1 is negative 1. You need to remember those 2 things. Number 5, if you have a plus bi and the b is 0, you won't have this part. You'll just have a, so that's a real number because you don't have the I on it. If you have a plus bi and the a is 0, you'll just be left with bi. So that's called pure imaginary. Here's what we do. Square root of negative 81. First, you take out the square root of negative 1. That's I. Square root of 81 is 9, so 9i. Square root of negative 49, square root of negative 1 times square root of 49. Square root of negative 1 is I. Square root of 49 is 7. Square root of negative 7, again, same way. The square root of negative 1 is your I. Square root of 7 doesn't break down. Square root of negative 3, same way. So we have I and square root of 7. Then make sure what we did up above only works when the negative is inside the radical. 5 and 6, the negative's not inside, so it's just normal work. Negative 4, negative 2. Number 7, square root of negative 64, the negative's inside, so square root of negative 1 and square root of 64. So I and square root of 64 is 8. Same way here, square root of negative 100, square root of negative 1 and square root of 100. So I, 10I. That concludes the videos for 10.2 through 10.3.